Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today we have discussed about heart and descending aorta, that is called thoracic aorta, then abdominal aorta, and blood supply of thorax and abdomen region. Starting from the very beginning, okay, look at it. अगर आप zoom कर पाए, heart. As we discussed already, the size of the heart is 9 by 12 centimeter and about the fist of one's hand. And if we talk about the level of the heart, it starts from T5, thoracic vertebra 5 to T8, and arc of aorta present at the level of T4, which is also called angle of Lewis. And if we talk about the size of the pulmonary trunk present within the arc of aorta, that is 2 inches or 5 centimeter long, the left pulmonary artery passes anteriorly to the arc of aorta, and right pulmonary artery passes behind the arc of aorta. You can see it easily. And ascending aorta and pulmonary trunk, including this heart, is covered within the fibrous pericardium. And what is pericardium? We already discussed. There is a difference, like endocardium, myocardium, and epicardium are the layers of the heart, but pericardium is a cavity, thoracic cavity, which encloses the heart. There are two layers of pericardium. One is fibrous layer, another is serous layer. Serous layer is subdivides into parietal layer and visceral layer. If you can see, this outer greenish layer is fibrous layer, and then serous layer divided into parietal layer and visceral layer. In between the visceral layer and parietal layer, we have a pericardial fluid, which is about 50 milliliter. And the function of this pericardial fluid is the protection of the heart, decrease the friction, and prevent the increased size of the heart, that is called cardiomegaly. And we talked about this ductus arteriosus, which is present at the beginning of the descending aorta and with the left pulmonary artery. That ductus arteriosus is very important as far as fetal blood supply is concerned within the mother. And we know that fetus don't use his lungs, like don't inspire or expire. It gets blood, oxygenated blood from mother only. So that's why the blood which goes into the pulmonary trunk, it goes towards the arc of aorta. But just after the birth, that duct, that is called ductus arteriosus, it closes, and remnant of the ductus arteriosus is ligamentum arteriosum, and there is a nerve called left recurrent laryngeal nerve which hook around this ligamentum arteriosum. You know what will happen if this duct remain patent, like called patent ductus arteriosus? What happens if it don't closes? So as we know, after the birth, lungs inflate, and the blood which will go to the arc of aorta, due to high pressure system in the left ventricle, high pressure blood in the aorta will enter back into the pulmonary trunk, and there will be hypertension called pulmonary hypertension due to this patency of this duct. And pulmonary hypertension there will be increased blood, and increased amount of blood will enter into right ventricle. There will be hypertrophy of right ventricle at the end. So in case, unfortunately, if a person don't its ductus arteriosus don't converts into ligamentum arteriosum, then the treatment is surgery, ligation of the ductus arteriosus. Is that clear? So now we will discuss about, okay, you can see ductus arteriosus converts into ligamentum arteriosum, left recurrent laryngeal nerve hook around this ligamentum arteriosum. If ductus arteriosus don't convert into ligamentum arteriosum, that is called patent ductal arteriosis, that a congenital heart defect in which there will be pulmonary hypertension and right ventricular hypertrophy. The treatment of choice is surgical ligation of the duct. And if now we will talk about the thoracic aorta or descending aorta, you can see this is the ascending aorta, arc of aorta. This is a brachiocephalic trunk, then left common carotid artery, left subclavian artery, and this is descending aorta. Or descending aorta is also called thoracic aorta. Now the branches of the thoracic aorta, first of all, mediastinal artery, as the name indicates, it will give blood supply to the mediastinum. Then pericardial artery, it will gives blood to the pericardium. There are two branches of pericardial artery, dorsal branch and collateral branch. Then we have superior phrenic artery. There is no fun in telling phrenic artery will give blood to the diaphragm. Then we have subcostal artery, which run along the lower border of the 12th rib. And the association of subcostal arteries are with musculophrenic artery, pericardial artery, superior epigastric artery, and anterior intercostal arteries. Then we have posterior intercostal artery, which supplies the lower 9 ribs, intercostal space on both sides. Then we have esophageal artery. We know it will give blood supply to the middle third of the esophagus. Then lastly we have bronchial artery. At the left side it will give 2 branches, and right side it will give 1 branch. From the bronchial artery, from the left side there will be left superior bronchial artery and left inferior bronchial artery. But on the right side there is only 1 right bronchial artery, which will provide blood supply to the lungs. So at the level of T12, that thoracic aorta will pierces the diaphragm, and then this thoracic aorta becomes abdominal aorta. Now then we studied about diaphragm piercing a mnemonic called I8 10x at 12. It means 8 means T8, 10 means T10, and 12 means T12. So at the level of T8, I for inferior vena cava plus right phrenic nerve pierces the diaphragm. 10x matlab it means at the level of T10, diaphragm is being pierced by E for esophagus plus left and right vagus nerve plus left gastric artery and vein. Then we have at 12 means at the level of T12, A for aorta and A for azygous vein pierces the diaphragm or make a hole in the diaphragm. It is also called diaphragmatic hiatus, opening in the diaphragm. So for opening of the diaphragm, you must learn by heart this phrase called I8 10 eggs at 12. So then we will talk about the abdominal aorta after the thoracic aorta. Abdominal aorta have 3 ventral visceral branches, 3 lateral visceral branches, 5 lateral abdominal branches, and 3 terminal branches. If we talk about, okay, suppose 3 ventral visceral branches. First branch is at the level of T12, that branch name is celiac artery. Second ventral visceral branch at the level of L1, superior mesenteric artery. Third ventral visceral branch is at the level of L3, which is called inferior mesenteric artery. If we talk about 3 lateral visceral artery, there are suprarenal artery, renal artery, and gonadal artery. Suprarenal artery subdivides into 3 arteries: superior suprarenal artery, middle suprarenal artery, or inferior suprarenal artery. You can see the 3 lateral visceral branches are superior suprarenal artery, middle suprarenal artery, inferior suprarenal artery are the sub branch of the suprarenal arteries. Then second we have renal artery and gonadal artery. There is no fun in telling that gonadal artery in male it will be a testicular artery, and gonadal artery in female there will be ovarian artery. Then we have 5 lateral abdominal branches, that the branches emerges from the lateral side of the abdominal aorta and goes toward the abdomen. First one is inferior phrenic artery and 4 lumbar arteries. Last but not the least, 3 terminal branches. You can see at the level of L4, this abdominal aorta terminates into right common iliac artery, left common iliac artery, and median sacral artery. So we know that right common iliac artery and left common iliac artery at the level of sacroiliac joint, where we have a dimple of Venus we studied already. It divides into internal iliac artery and external iliac artery. You can see it. So now we will discuss in detail about anterior or ventral visceral arteries. First of all, celiac artery. Celiac artery emerges from abdominal aorta at the level of T12 from the anterior aspect of abdominal aorta. The size or length of this celiac artery is 1.25 centimeter. It will give the blood supply to foregut, and the nerve associated with this celiac artery is vagus nerve. Now we will talk about, suppose this is the celiac artery. First branch of the celiac artery is left gastric artery, which supply blood to the lower part of esophagus and upper part of lesser curvature of stomach. Then second division or second branch of celiac artery is right gastric artery, which gives, second branch is splenic artery or large splenic artery, which gives blood supply to the spleen. And from the splenic artery we have sub branches like short gastric artery, gives the blood to the fundus of the stomach and greater curvature. Then second branch is pancreatic artery. Pancreatic artery, there are two types. One artery gives the blood circulation to the head of the pancreas, and another blood vessel supplies the tail of the pancreas. The blood supply to the tail of the pancreas is by arteria cauda pancreatis, and blood supply to the head of the pancreas is by arteria pancreatic magna. Tail, for tail, arteria cauda pancreatis; for head, arteria pancreatic magna. That are the branches of the pancreatic arteries, branch of the splenic artery, branch of celiac artery. Then third branch of celiac artery is common hepatic artery. In some books it is written simple hepatic artery. First branch of the common hepatic artery is right gastric artery. Second branch is gastroduodenal artery, which subdivides into anterior superior pancreatoduodenal artery and posterior superior pancreatoduodenal artery. And third branch is hepatic artery, which divides into left hepatic artery, right hepatic artery, and cystic artery. For example, look at here, if you can zoom in. Common hepatic artery, first branch is this one, that is called right gastric artery, which gives blood to the remaining part of left circulature of stomach, plus it have anastomosis with the left gastric artery. Then we have second branch from the common hepatic artery, that is called gastroduodenal artery, which gives two branches. First branch is anterior superior pancreatoduodenal artery, and then posterior superior pancreatoduodenal artery. The third branch is hepatic artery, which gives first branch is left hepatic artery, second branch is right hepatic artery, and third branch is cystic artery. And we studied that hepatic artery gives about 30% of the blood to the liver, and rest of the 70% of the blood to the liver is by portal vein. And there is no fun in telling hepatic artery, which is giving 30%, will give oxygenated blood, and portal vein having 70% of blood towards the heart will have deoxygenated blood. Okay, then we will discuss about second ventral visceral branch of abdominal artery, aorta, at the level of L1. From superior mesenteric artery, it gives blood supply to all the structures derived from midgut associated with vagus nerve. First branch of superior mesenteric artery is inferior pancreatoduodenal artery. Look at it, inferior pancreatoduodenal artery. Second branch is middle colic artery. You can see it, middle colic artery, middle colon or transverse colon, 2/3. Then we have jejunal artery, giving the branches to the jejunum. Then we have ileal artery, blood supply to the ileum. Then we have ileocolic artery. You can see ileum plus colon, and the branch of ileocolic artery is anterior colic artery and interior cecal artery and posterior cecal artery. And posterior cecal artery gives a branch to appendix called appendicular artery, or you can say appendicular artery is a branch of posterior cecal artery, which is a branch of ileocecal artery, which is a branch of superior mesenteric artery. Is that clear? Then okay, now this one is right colic artery. So you can say the celiac artery gives blood from lower 1/3 of esophagus till middle of the duodenum, and superior mesenteric artery gives blood from middle of the duodenum till 2/3 of the transverse colon. And then we have lastly inferior mesenteric artery, third ventral visceral branch of abdominal aorta. It gives blood to all the parts derived by hindgut, and association of nerve is pelvic nerve, this time not vagus. And the blood supply goes from here. We have inferior mesenteric artery starting from posterior or lateral or remaining 1/3 of the transverse colon, then descending colon, sigmoid colon, and superior part of the rectum till pectinate line. Or you can say from the inferior mesenteric artery, see this is the from where it starts. We just for a convenient purpose we are starting from here. First branch from inferior mesenteric artery is left colic artery. Then we have sigmoidal artery. Then we have superior rectal artery till the pectinate line. And another artery which gives anastomosis starting from ileocecal artery all the way along till superior rectal artery, that is called marginal artery. You can see it anasmos, it joins all the arteries together starting from iliocorticolic artery till superior mesenteric artery. That is called marginal artery. And if we talk about all the blood supply of rectum, superior part of the rectum get blood supply from superior rectal artery, middle part of the rectum gets blood supply by middle rectal artery, which is a branch of internal carotid artery, internal iliac artery, and inferior part of the rectum gets blood by inferior rectal artery, which is a branch of internal pudendal artery, or you can say this is left common iliac artery, this is external iliac artery, this is internal iliac artery. Internal iliac artery gives direct branch to middle rectal artery, and then internal iliac artery gives a branch to internal pudendal artery. Then internal pudendal artery will give a branch named inferior rectal artery, which will supply the lowermost part of the rectum. So that is three-way blood supply to the rectum. And if we talk about three-way supply to the esophagus, you can see the left gastric artery gives blood supply to the lower one-third of the stomach. The middle one-third of the stomach gets blood supply by esophageal artery, as we discussed over here. Esophageal artery branch of thoracic aorta to the middle one-third of the stomach. And upper one-third of the esophagus gets blood by inferior thyroid artery. For that purpose, you can see it. Okay, suppose there is no fun in telling left atrium gives blood to the left ventricle. So you can see the red color we gave for the left heart. It means oxygenated blood. And then we give right color to the right heart. That means deoxygenated blood. From the left ventricle, that is high pressure system, there will be semilunar valve, aortic valve, and pulmonary valve, and this is SA node. Everybody knows. Then through this semilunar valve, aortic valve, ascending aorta, then arc of aorta gives branches. Right tracheocephalic trunk, left common carotid artery, and left subclavian artery. We know that left subclavian artery gives a branch called vertebral artery, which is a circulation for, or you can say, which makes the circle of Willis. Then we have internal thoracic artery, which gives branch of superior epigastric artery and musculophrenic artery. Then we have thyrocervical trunk. First branch of thyrocervical trunk is suprascapular artery, then superficial cervical artery, and inferior thyroid artery. Inferior thyroid artery supplies the inferior part of the thyroid, then thymus, and upper one-third of the stomach by inferior thyroid artery. And there is no fun in telling that superior part of the thyroid gets blood by superior thyroid artery, which is a branch of external carotid artery. And another branch, blood vessel supplies thyroid gland, that is called thyroid ima artery, and thymus gets blood supply by inferior thyroid artery plus internal thoracic artery. So that was about blood supply of esophagus and GI tract. And then we will discuss about watershed zones or watershed regions. There are two areas of the colon which gets double or dual blood supply. For example, this splenic flexure and sigmoidorectal junction. These two watershed zones have increased capability, capacity, vulnerability, increased susceptibility to the colonic ischemia. The two areas of the colon gets dual blood supply, increased susceptible to the colonic ischemia. One is splenic flexure, which gets blood by superior mesenteric artery and inferior mesenteric artery, and rectosigmoidal junction, which gets blood by superior mesenteric artery and superior rectal arteries. So these two areas are called watershed zones or watershed regions. Then we will talk about a few clinical features. First of all, Nutcracker syndrome, in which this superior mesenteric artery and aorta, obviously abdominal aorta, will compresses the left renal vein, which will ends up with a clinical feature of flank pain and gross hematuria due to the rupture of thin-walled renal varicosities. And then we have from Nutcracker syndrome, we should know about nutmeg liver, in which the hepatic vein get congested and dilated, and there will be central part of the liver will be reddish and peripheral part will be pale. That is called nutmeg liver. Then last but not the least, we have superior mesenteric artery syndrome, in which superior artery and aorta compresses the transverse part of duodenum, that is third part. This is the first part of duodenum, that is horizontal. This is the second part of the duodenum. This is the third part of this duodenum. This part of the duodenum, called transverse part of the duodenum, gets compressed by superior mesenteric artery and aorta, and that will end up with a postprandial pain. Then we have a general concept that GIT structures like stomach, pancreas, liver, duodenum, jejunum, ileum, colon, they get blood supply by single and anterior branches. You can see it. Celiac artery, superior mesenteric artery, and inferior mesenteric artery are single arteries, and that are anterior branches or ventral visceral branches. You can see over here. The another part is non-GIT structures gets blood supply by paired and posterolateral branches. For example, non-GIT structures, you can see phrenic artery, suprarenal artery, then renal artery, gonadal artery, that are non-GIT structures. They get blood from the abdominal aorta from the lateral aspect. They emerges from the lateral side of the abdomen, and they are in pair, not single. They are superior, right superior suprarenal artery and left superior suprarenal artery, right renal artery, left renal artery, right gonadal artery, left gonadal artery. And there is no fun in telling if it is inferior phrenic artery, right side, then there is left side inferior phrenic artery, right 4 lumbar arteries, then left 4 lumbar arteries. So it means GIT structures like esophagus, stomach, duodenum, jejunum, ileum, pancreas, liver, all these, they get blood by single branches from the anterior aspect of abdominal aorta. And non-GIT structures like liver or testes or ovaries or phrenic, these are non-GIT structures. They get blood supply by paired arteries emerges from the lateral or posterior part of abdominal aorta. This is a general concept. So clear?
Yes.
No question?